was trying to show you respect.
Listen, I gotta make an announcement. Gary's been with the show for 40 years now.
The drama surrounding Howard Stern's public unraveling wasn't sparked by a scandal, a shock jock stunt, or a jaw-dropping radio segment. It wasn't even prompted by Howard himself. It came from a moment Greg Gutfeld delivered not with rage, but with surgical, sarcastic precision. In one live television appearance, Gutfeld managed to do what Stern's harshest critics, outraged listeners, and media watchdogs have failed to do in decades. He turned the mirror back on the self-proclaimed king of all media and showed the world just how far he'd fallen from his throne. Howard Stern, once a titan of rebellion, had become the very embodiment of the elite establishment he used to ridicule. And Gutfeld, he didn't just call him out, he humiliated him. Not with venom or shouting, but with mockery that landed like a sledgehammer dressed in a smirk. This wasn't just another celebrity spat or network beef. It was a cultural reckoning. Stern, who once reveled in being the voice for the voiceless, the champion of free speech, and the face of raw, unapologetic broadcasting, now finds himself snuggled inside the warm, safe arms of mainstream approval. He no longer sounds like the rebel radio anarchist who once terrified the FCC and triggered moral outrage. He sounds like a man deeply invested in not offending anyone who might sit beside him at a $5,000 plate fundraiser. His audience didn't need Gutfeld to spell it out, but he did anyway, and with chilling clarity. Howard said he'd vote for that wall over there, Gutfeld quipped while discussing Stern's sycophantic praise of Kamala Harris. A throwaway line, maybe. But Gutfeld twisted the knife. He wasn't applauding Stern. He was comparing him to a wall, cold, dense, and immovable. And Stern, tragically, took it as a compliment. It wasn't always this way. There was a time when Howard Stern couldn't care less about pleasing elites or being welcome in Hollywood circles. He thrived on offending the powerful. He made millions out of weaponized vulgarity and brutal honesty. He challenged authority, ridiculed celebrities, and tore down the phony facades of fame. But that version of Stern doesn't exist anymore. Not publicly. The rebel in ripped jeans and unbrushed hair has been replaced by a neurotic celebrity obsessed with vaccines, cleanliness, and celebrity dinner parties. And for many watching, it's not just a disappointing change, it's a betrayal. Greg Gutfeld saw that. He saw what thousands of others whispered in YouTube comments and Reddit threads. That Stern didn't just evolve, he surrendered. He didn't shift to a new ideology because he believed in it. He bowed to survive. He softened his image because he wanted to be invited to the table, not tear it down. And in Gutfeld's world, that's the greatest sin a so-called rebel can commit. So, Gutfeld pounced, not with anger, but with satire. He mocked Stern's newfound elite lifestyle, sneering at the idea that Stern found dining with celebrities exhausting, as if walking from his wine cellar to his tennis court was the modern-day equivalent of hard labor. He didn't have to raise his voice. He didn't need rage. The mockery was enough. It was honest, effortless, and devastating. And what did Stern do in response? Nothing. No rant. No comeback. No unfiltered monologue tearing Gutfeld apart. Just silence. And that silence echoed louder than anything Stern had said in years. Stern once made a career out of punching up. He was fearless. But now, watching him fumble through woke talking points and desperate pleas to be taken seriously by Hollywood royalty feels like watching a lion trying to purr. It's awkward. It's pitiful. And in a world where authenticity is more valued than ever, it's unforgivable. The irony is almost unbearable. The man who once wore blackface and joked about the Columbine massacre is now preaching progressive purity like a born-again cultural monk. Gutfeld didn't need to fabricate anything. Stern's own words, his own behavior, did the job for him. Gutfeld just strung the pearls together and held them up for the audience to see. On his show, Stern has defended being woke as a compliment. He sees it as standing up for what's right. But as Gutfeld pointed out, it's not about values, it's about optics. Stern isn't woke because he believes in anything. He's woke because he's scared. Scared of being cancelled. Scared of being irrelevant. Scared of being remembered more for his past than his present. And while Gutfeld thrives in chaos, Stern cowers in comfort. There's a reason why this moment struck such a chord with viewers. It wasn't about politics. It wasn't even about Gutfeld versus Stern. It was about authenticity. It was about what happens when someone who once represented raw, unfiltered rebellion turns into a carefully manufactured product of the very system he once mocked. There's a line Gutfeld delivered during the segment that landed harder than any punch. Howard Stern built an empire on mocking phoniness. Now he's wearing the very mask he used to rip off. That wasn't just a burn. It was a eulogy. And when Stern tried to defend Kamala Harris by saying her campaign was too important to be joked about, the absurdity of his new persona reached its peak. This is the same man who once said school shooters should have raped their victims before killing them. He joked about tragedies, mocked the disabled, degraded women for sport, and now suddenly, he's the moral compass of America? It doesn't add up. It never will. The transformation isn't growth. It's camouflage. It's strategic self-preservation dressed up as enlightenment. Gutfeld didn't need to be angry. He just needed to point out the obvious. And the internet ran with it. The clip spread like wildfire. Fans who grew up on Stern's raw defiance were now watching his legacy unravel in real time. Not because of something scandalous, but because he had become boring. A symbol of compliance. The tragedy of Howard Stern isn't that he got older or even that he changed. It's that he lost his edge while pretending he didn't. And when someone like Gutfeld calls it out, not with hate, but with surgical satire, there's nowhere to hide. It leaves us with a question that haunts every legend eventually. Can someone remain a rebel forever? Or is the system so powerful that even the loudest voices get swallowed whole? For Stern, the answer might already be written. Gutfeld didn't need Stern to fire back. He knew he wouldn't. The punch landed. The audience roared. And the king of all media, he faded into the background. Still rich, still famous, but no longer feared. No longer the voice in the storm. Just another echo in the noise. What do you think? Has Howard Stern truly lost the edge that made him a legend? Or is this just a new chapter misunderstood by critics? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more unfiltered media takedowns.